We're shaking, folks. Back with another reaction, back with some more Human League. Once again, big shout out to Han Solo for sharing their catalog these many months. And we're going back to the Fascination EP, 1983. And the next tune is Mirror Man. I did note there's an extended version in the folder as well, but given that the normal version of the EP starts with the extended version of Fascination, but then goes to the normal version of Mirror Man, that's what I'll react to. It's an interesting title, straightforward concept, the idea of someone in a mirror, a man specifically, but, you know, obviously if that's a first person perspective, then it's you. You're the one in the mirror. Now you could look as a third person at someone gazing into a mirror. Obviously a mirror could be a figurative rendering, meaning it could be another real person, but one who seems to behave in similar ways or even emulate the other person's behavior. I feel like there's a lot still ambiguous, which tends to be the case with shorter titles, even though this isn't a single word title. In any case, let's see what I can catch on a first listen while Luca drifts off into sleep once again. This is the Human League from the 1983 Fascination EP, and the track is Mirror Man. Starting with female voices. A throwback, 50s vibe almost. But still skips across the face a dozen times and disappears, not a trace left behind. A thrower turns and walks away, a change of mind. Another start, a brand new day. Hey, I like that. The bass. You know I'll change if change is what you require. Every wish, your every dream, hope, desire. Here comes the mirror man, says he's a people man. Here comes the mirror man, and if it seems I'm not the one you used to know, our little friendship left behind long, long ago. Don't feel too hurt as distance heals the strongest pain. Things are much better now. It feels like the opposite of Don't You Want Me. I do like this section a lot. You know I'll change if change is what you require. Every wish, your every dream, hope, desire. Here comes the mirror man, says he's a people man. Here comes the mirror man. Here comes the mirror man, says he's a people man. Here comes the mirror man. Here comes the mirror man, says he's a people man. Here comes the mirror man. Here comes the mirror man, says he's a people. For a regular version, I would expect it to start fading right here, or you do get a sense for things in terms of like conventions or like standard approaches to ends of songs and so on. But again, knowing there was an extended mix, it was like, well, that's clearly like going to be the demarcation point, and indeed, like one bar later, it begins to fade. So yeah, I'm curious to hear when we get to it what happens after that in the longer version. Presumably, there is a recycling of that main like chorus run, but perhaps after an instrumental interlude or maybe some other synths that we didn't hear there. But it does feel very sonically like Don't You Want Me. It has that, it's got the female voices throughout. We still get Mr. Oki, but it's like a bit more like balanced in terms of, it felt like we heard the backing female vocals like as much as we heard his lead vocals. Either way, part of it felt like, again, it was almost the opposite of Don't You Want Me, that he's saying like, oh, like, don't be too hurt, like, I moved on, like, we had a nice little relationship, it's fine, but, I've moved on, don't be too upset, ultimately, it just feels like the dismissive sentiment is like funny given the like, oh my god, I can't believe now you won't even answer my calls, like, you better, because you're gonna be sorry, we'll both be sorry. So here the person takes a more cavalier attitude, but it felt like there was more to it than that. And ultimately the Mirror Man, at first it was like the imagery of like looking into water, which of course you can see a reflection of water, and that plays a role in multiple fairy tales and classic cultural stories and so on. But yeah, so I thought, okay, that's maybe part of it, but then there was that part which seemed to be about insisting that someone not be too upset and just get over the fact that they're moving on and they're not interested. So I'm not quite sure like the Mirror Man specifically, like what their function is in the sort of half sketchy narrative that I picked up, but ultimately just as a bit of contrast from Don't You Want Me, it felt very amusing because sonically it felt like they were very much in the same lane. So yeah, I did enjoy, as I said, that kind of like rising motif in the like pre-chorus, I think it was. So yeah, that part in particular was cool, and it sounds classic 80s synth pop. So yeah, I feel like this still has what I guess by then is sort of known as the Human League sound. Now again, that's very different from say Reproduction or Travelogue, but I would say it doesn't feel, it's actually interesting. People said that I think it was Han Solo, someone was saying that like he was sort of paralyzed at this point, Oki, like the Don't You Want Me, it hit so big that it was kind of like now he was less sure of how to proceed. But it feels like this tune, could fall very much in, like, it would be a tune that, could be played at the same concert and sort of like would maintain the same atmosphere. So, at least here, it doesn't feel to me like, he's losing his touch yet or anything like that. It feels, very much of the early 80s, very much, similar to the Dare album, and in particular, their massive hits. So I'm curious to know if people feel the same. Again, that my opinions, are also, are firstly crazy, and then secondarily, more seriously, I tend to be super positive about things. Even songs that there are parts maybe that aren't my favorite, I still will key in on aspects I like. So I am curious, because sometimes I'll have a really positive interaction with a tune, and even people I know are big fans of the group are like, yeah, this one's a skipper for me, this one's a miss. So I am curious to know if people feel this one is a decent tune on a similar level as Don't You Want Me. In any case, I'll stop gabbing away. Luca sleeps the whole time. She's oblivious to it all. Let me know what you think, and I will see you then. Peace.